Welcome to Tapping for a New Year. I am Kirsten Kieber-Smith, and with Live Free, this is another installment in Tapping Together Apart. And with 2021 on the horizon, a lot of people are talking about the old year and the new year, and all of that. So that's been on my mind lately. So today we're going to tap for that, for the new year and the coming year, and our hopes and expectations. If you're new to tapping, just follow along. If you're familiar with tapping and your sequence is slightly different than mine, go with it. There's no wrong way to tap. So you're welcome to follow me. Pause at any point, replace any word, notice how you feel, what you think about things. As always, this is just a suggestion and a template for you to then take and run with it. So let's begin. And our balancing statement that I'd like to invite you to begin with is, even though 2020 was a year, I'm okay. Right? I'll move inside of the eyes. Even though 2020 was a year, I'm okay. I love myself. I accept myself. Even though 2020 was a year, I'm okay. I'm okay. And I invite you to that specific wording as we continue to tap, because I'm seeing this tendency and this trend to label 2020 as a bad year and how good 2021 is going to be as we move to under the armpits. And I remind you that you can tap on one or both sides. We're symmetrical people. So you just find your different points as they feel good to you. And if we're using the lens of EFT, there is no bad or good year, just as there are no bad or good emotions. So I really invite you to that sort of phrasing. Even though 2020 was a year, I'm okay. And how did you feel about that year? And I invite you to the full range. Let's label the year for what it was. Maybe it was hard. Maybe it was challenging. Maybe it was chaotic. Maybe it was oppressive. Maybe it was scary. Maybe it was joyful. Maybe it was illuminating. Maybe it was introspective. Name all of them. All the feels. Honestly, look at that. Because as soon as we just put a label like good or bad, 2020 was bad, 2021 is going to be good, then you close the door on possibility. And you set yourself up for disappointment. So if I simply want to say 2020 was a bad year, then I no longer am open to the gifts that it brought me. And I challenge you that there is no such thing as a good or bad year. They're just years. And they may come with challenges and heartache and heartbreak and worry and fear and concern and rage. See an earlier video on that. One of my favorite emotions anymore, anger, rage. So much energy in that to work for change. So check out an earlier video if you're interested in exploring that and the gifts that can bring you when held well and used. Confusing, upsetting, all those things, but that's still a year. And so I'm inviting you, as we stand in this place between 2020 and 2021, to open the door to both. Open the door. Don't label that a bad year. It's a year, and we're going to open the door to the gifts that it wanted to bring you. The changes, the introspection, the scrutiny that maybe your own life was put under, your own choices, the sacrifice, chosen or chosen or not, right? Sometimes those things are sort of foisted upon us. The challenge, the loneliness, right? That time with self that we were all invited to in one way or another. The reflection on our place in the world that the lens of a pandemic can bring. Your seat and where you exist in all things looks a little bit different in the context of a worldwide event, right? Even though 2020 was a year, and I feel what I feel about it, I'm okay. I'm okay, and I'm open to the gifts it can bring, and the wisdom I've gained, and the growth I've been invited to. And I integrate those into my very being and self as I step forward into 2021. And I don't expect 2021 to be a good year. It's another year. But I hope for 2021, I invite into 2021 greater ease. That one really resonates with me. I choose ease in the middle of pandemic and struggle and illness and strife and loss and fear. I choose ease. I invite in ease and connection. I invite in greater connection, a greater sense of my place in my family, my community, my world. I invite in joy and growth. And maybe you don't have to invite so much challenge for 2021. If you took that up in 2020, you don't have to necessarily choose that again. But maybe you didn't. Maybe you did choose ease and hibernation and rest, and you're ready for challenge now. You get to stand in this place and see how to balance out between the years. What did 2021 offer you, gift you, bring to you, invite you to? Fill it in. How did you feel about that? I felt invited to. I felt challenged to. I felt that I ran from my mortality. Maybe an obligation or a relationship or a hard conversation. Or maybe I took that head on. Name it. Whatever your choices were, they were just choices. Again, we're in EFT land, so they're not good or bad. They were just choices you made, and are you wanting to make them again? Really choose. For 2021, I invite myself to choose consciously and intentionally, and to meet the sorrow, the pain, the joy, the growth, the humanity, the health, the healing. I'm going to meet those. I'm going to make space in my heart, my body, and my being for those things. So as we stand between and you look back through the door of 2020, what gifts would you like to bring with you? And what offerings would you like to burn? Maybe some of that fear, anger, loneliness, some of those earlier tapping sessions that we did. Maybe we can burn those at the altar, in the fire, in the crucible of 2020. That's completely fine to do. They're old, they're done. You've got a few moments left in this year. A year. And go ahead as you pour those feelings out and all those things that are no longer a part of your present moment. Burn. Let it burn. Or if you prefer, let it wash away. Or maybe you burn and then you wash away the ashes. Maybe they fly on the wind. Maybe you make a nice burial. But you bring with you the gifts, the wisdom, the choices that you were asked to make that were new. And you decide to make the same choices or different ones. You let it be a year, so that door to all the good that can be, all that is, stays open. It was a year. 2020 was a year. And you invite in 2021 with a sense of balance, sense of levity, a sense of heaviness, and maybe a bit of foreboding, or maybe just pure joy. You honor all the feels for that open door that we're just peeking through now. The beginning, right? The beginning. And we make space for the new gifts. It's not a good year, it's not a bad year, it's a year. And we make space for those gifts that are possible in this year that's coming. And as we let those flames consume all that is not of the present, all we've done and we don't need to do again, and we open the door to the gifts of a year, no matter how challenging, chaotic, frustrating, what are those feels? Let them come up right now. Maybe lots of grief, loss, maybe estrangement, strained relationships. Whatever it is, it already happened. So let them burn, we let them wash away, and we make space for the present and the possibility of what can be in a year, in a moment, in right now. Yeah. And then I invite you, if you have more to burn or more to hope for, this is a great place to pause, rewind, and do that all again. Maybe you're still hung up on a year. You really want to label 2020 bad. Tap about that. You can. It's a choice. But what I'm inviting you into is to try labeling it a year. If you have big feels about that, that's a great place to tap. It's always your choice, though. So this may be a place you want to pause, and then you join us back. We're going to set an intention for 2021. So we made space for that in your heart. If you feel that space is there, great. If not, maybe you want to spend the next few days tapping on 2020. The year that it was. You're welcome to do that. And maybe you want to save this last part of the video for 2021. It's up to you. But I invite those that feel like they have the space. I often imagine it in my heart, but you maybe make that space in your head or in the core of your being. But often I imagine sort of making a nest right about here. Hollowing out a place, cleaning it up, right? I know our post-holiday cleaning is in full swing right now as we make space for the new year. And there's lots of vacuuming and dusting and tidying up of things after the festivities with our own little family. It's surprising how much 5 people and a few pets can make in just a few days. Maybe you've done that already. You've cleaned out that inner and you have that space ready. Cleaned off, ready to go. That shelf is empty, and you're ready to set an intention. Even though I hope for 2021, whatever it is, set it in, really make it concrete, and know that whether it comes out the way you exactly intended or with its own twist, as it often does, you're okay. I hope for 2021 to invite, and be careful what you welcome in, because it will come. If you've made that space, it will come. Be specific, be clear, be ready. It will come if you've made that space. It is. The space is there, so it's coming. For 2021, I hope, I invite, I intend, I ask. How do you want to phrase it? And what is it? For greater connection? For more wellness? For a greater sense of self and safety? What is it that you're inviting? And whether it comes as the guest you invited, or dressed up in some other clothes that may make it unrecognizable at first, I'm okay. These guests, when we invite them in, they come as they are. How many fairy tales do we have of this? The prince that's the beast. The enchantress that's a hag. The what? Right? I trust my being, my connection to all that is, to recognize it when this guest comes, however it may look on the outside. And I invite it into my head, my heart, my gut, my being, my very self. And I see a year that brings many gifts. Much joy and comfort and love, connection, growth, all those things. And I bow in gratitude to all that was. And I invite in the gifts that 2020 has had, will offer me. I leave the space for that as well, as I say goodbye to a year, and I welcome in a year. So be it. I seal these into my being, my future, myself, my hopes. And just take one last round. I'm just feeling there's one more round in there. To seal and release the loose ends, whatever that may be. And again, maybe you have many hopes and intentions for 2021 and you're invited to do multiple rounds. You can do a round for each hope and intention and really seal it in, light a candle, do a dance, whatever it is. You're welcome to take a leisurely stroll through this tap, right, as we stand between these spaces. This one always for me. I'm going back for seconds here for me. Where's your spot? Yeah. It's an invitation. It's up to you to take it, to leave it, to change it. Perhaps you have a different way, a different path. Trust and be well, friends. Welcome, gifts of 2020. Welcome, 2021. Thank you.